All right, I'm at 200 hours on the Xtrack now, so I figured it's time to do another update. I'm going to preface this by saying I still really love this bike, but it's kind of testing my patience lately. So we'll start with the kind of things I've done since the last video. I put on these S3 carbon fiber fork guards, and then these are 2017 TRS RR stickers that I like because they're black over top of those. What else? I just put these on, haven't even really ridden them with it yet. These are billet triple clamps from a TRS Gold that I got for a really good deal. I never liked the cast triple clamps that this bike came with, so I got those installed. Put S3 rim decals on, rim protecting kind of stickers on both ends. A lot more rim protection than the stock stickers. And what else? The muffler that I dented up really bad. I worked the dents out. Took me a few hours, but I got it done. So that's about it for things I've done since the last time you saw it. Well, one more thing, but we'll get to this, I guess. But I got my Trailtech temp gauge mounted on this little piece of metal that bolts in right here. But I'll get to why that's mounted there. Another thing I forgot to mention that I got, these are Trial Solutions short levers. I really like these. They weren't super cheap, but they're really nice for riding through the woods when you have a lot of brush. There's a lot less lever length to get caught on the brush that you're riding through. You do actually get a longer throw with this lever compared to the stock levers, so it is a little easier. It pulls the clutch a little more, and you can find neutral while the bike is running and you're stopped, which is nice. It's a lot more difficult with the factory levers to ever find neutral if you were not moving with the bike running. So about 176 hours or so I was riding. You'll actually see this in the last video I uploaded, riding up Tongue Mountain, climbing a pretty good grade, and my fan switch here in the radiator had stopped working, so the bike overheated. It shot coolant out of the overflow valve there. It's really easy to bypass that switch and make the fan run, so we did that. Immediately cooled down the bike, and I rode for the rest of the day like that. Let's see. I had another starter spring go out for the starter, so I've had 4 go bad so far. 2 factory, the original one, a replacement, and then since the replacement went bad, I started getting springs from McMaster Car. So it's this garter spring right here. It goes around this. The spring I found fits nice and seems to work pretty good for about 25 or 30 hours. It doesn't stretch out like the stock spring does and eventually begin to fail. It all of a sudden comes apart where they join the 2 ends, and then it fails immediately. So you don't get any warning like the original ones do. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like TRS sells just the spring, even though they list that part in the parts book. So I'm not sure what to do about that, because I'm not gonna pay $50 or whatever they want for this whole sprag every single time versus $5 for a spring. So I sourced an O-ring, and I'm gonna try that. I don't have any faith that it's gonna work any better. but next time I'll try that. What else? So I was riding a couple weeks ago, and so since I lost this temp switch here, I got my trail tech. I had this originally for quite a while. I didn't like how it was mounted up here on the battery. The adhesive eventually gave way and it fell off. So I had removed it. So now I've got it reattached here, which I like better. Help keep an eye on the temperature in case anything happens like that again. A couple weeks ago we were riding and I noticed it was getting hot, and I could see the fan was running, but it wasn't running very fast. I started poking around, bypassed the fan switch again. That didn't change anything. And then I noticed the lights weren't working. So I hit the switch up here to see if that would change anything. And when I did that, when I first pressed it, I turned it off, and then the fan came on full speed. So sure enough, I cycled it multiple times, and each time I turned it on, the fan would slow down. So that told me there was probably a short in the light wiring somewhere. It was causing the voltage to just tank, so the fan didn't have enough voltage to run. Sure enough, later with the meter, I confirmed the rear light has a short somewhere, probably where it comes by the shock back here. So next time I have the air box off, I'm gonna investigate that. On that same ride, about an hour later, after I figured out the problem with the fan not running at full speed, I went to start the bike and it didn't have enough battery power to run the starter. So it turns out that was unrelated. One of the charge wire that goes through here had broken, because you know you turn this quite a bit, and eventually that wire broke, so I repaired that. And that fixed the charging issue. But now, of course, not much longer after that, there's another issue with the wiring. Let's see if it does it. So right now, you can hear the starter relay clicking in there, but nothing happens. If I turn the handlebars to the right, it will start. So that leads me to believe, since the relay is clicking, it's one of the main power leads that has also now broken inside the jacket from bending up here. So I have to look into that as well. So whatever, you know, that stuff happens. And then last weekend I rode the Rusty Rooster trial that Coda puts on every year. It's a 2-day event. The end of the weekend, I noticed you can sort of see it here, I had a streak running down the cylinder. First I thought it might have been from a puddle that I hit and water had just been running down here. After a closer inspection, I could see it was green, you know, antifreeze. I started looking around. I thought it might be the head bolt that was leaking somehow, and then I noticed there's this bleed screw up here, and somehow the last time I had the bleed screw out, I forgot to put the copper washer back in. So I got the copper washer back in there, topped up the coolant, fired up the bike, and it's still leaking. And sure enough, upon closer inspection, the cylinder head, the outer cover, because these are a 2-piece head, the outer cover is cracked, so it is seeping coolant out of there when it runs. So I'm at a little over 200 hours now, and that's what's been going on. So hopefully I can get a handle on this stuff, because it's starting to kind of annoy me. Otherwise, I absolutely love this bike still. I've asked my dealer to send me a head from the gold model TRS, which is a billet cylinder head. It has a different outlet, so it has a different radiator hose, of course, but should be a stronger head. I've found 3 or 4 posts with other people that have had heads cracked. 2 of them had it crack in the same exact spot. One of them was the red colored head, and I don't believe there's any difference between the regular heads other than the powder coating color. The only real difference is between the gold head and all the other TRS heads. You know, the newer ones will have a temp sensor installed back here, but this head has the provision for that. It's just not drilled. So it's the same casting. So I think they have a problem with their cylinder head casting, and hopefully I can get the gold cylinder head and put that problem behind me, and then I just have to figure out one of the main wire issues for the starter there, and hopefully be good to go for a while. So that's the 200-hour update on my Xtrack.